The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you.
Hello and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined as always by...
The 3M painter's mask that you're using for surgery equipment, that is Eric Velasquez. My pronouns are also he, him. So yeah, we're talking about the Cutters Club.
Yep, so yeah, as we said last week, this is just a newly released but quite old film. This is from Full Moon Productions, actually written and directed by Charles Band himself, but It was quote-unquote lost back when they filmed it in 2005, and now that Tony Todd has died, it was mysteriously found and finished.
Who knew?
Yeah. So it's new to like Tubi and the Full Moon streaming service and everything, and we were like, well, yeah, let's check it out. So it's very much a Full Moon production in a lot of ways.
Very much so.
It's not, yeah. Well, I guess we'll get into our feelings about it as we go. I feel like, I mean, Tony Todd is really our only cast member to like note. Everybody else, I didn't know them from anything. I don't know if you did.
Nope, not really.
And it's a pretty small cast anyway, which is kind of common for Full Moon. You know, they kind of like to keep it small. So we have some credits that are kind of vaguely Reanimator-ish, you know, it's like medical diagrams and...
I'm pretty sure they just reused the Reanimator diagrams in the background of this thing.
Yeah, the one thing that stood out to it, or for me in there, is that like they have like a logo for like the Cutters Club that has like a scalpel and blood splatter that like pops up at the end, and I thought it looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then we right away go to like a hospital operating room, and we have like behind glass students observing the surgery. And when things go wrong there, we have like blood, like an arterial spurt of blood spraying everywhere.
I would almost say a squirt as in a squirter, because Jill is excited about the squirting. She loves it.
Yeah, she looked right away. I was like, oh, she's excited, and she like grabs the guy next to her, Jack. She grabs his like thigh, and afterwards he's like, "Are you sure you want to be a surgeon if you get so upset by the sight of blood?" And she's like,
"I'm not upset at all."
Yeah, definitely not upset. And then we cut right to a sex scene with them. Right. So she was very excited.
Exactly. By the way, Jack appears like the actor. What's his name? Davy Youngblood is like the young Griffith that we have at home. So,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Just pass that on.
And at first, like I took this scene. It seemed like they were like students who knew each other, and that like this was the first time they had sex. But then as it went, no, it seemed like they were like dating. Yeah. But she's like, "Yep, that was nice. Good way to clear the brain.
Thanks for a good time."
Yeah, and she gets right back to study, and he's like, "What? Like, you don't want to like chill and relax for a little while, cuddle?" Like he's more like, you know, I want some like aftercare here, and she's like, "Nah, I got it out. I'm good. Like, time to get back to work."
He's like, "Don't you ever stop studying?" No, she doesn't. She is almost our Frankenstein in this case, right?
Yeah, very much so. And she studies for a minute, and she's like, "Oh, it's time. I gotta go. I'm gonna go work on that experiment that I was telling you about." And he's like, I thought you were kidding. You're gonna try that for real with the cats?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, of course."
He's like, "That's science fiction. That's not possible." And she's like, "It's science fiction until it's science fact." Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and she's like, "You know me, like I don't fail, and like you're a great assistant. If you come along, we can get anything done together." And he's like, Okay, fine, I'll go with you.
Yeah, I will say it's pretty good, though, to have the guy as the assistant. So, fair enough for you, Charles Band, on this one.
Yeah, rare for him for the girl to not just be like the boobs of the movie,
Right.
you know, like she's actually like the brains.
To be fair, she's also the boobs, but she's also the brains.
True, yeah. So they head over to the university, and like she tells him that she's got like somebody there that she's gonna like call in a favor on, that he's got some supplies for her.
Who's your favorite guy there? Jill, you know? Who's the dude?
So they get to the university, and it's like this sort of just abandoned, really run down area. Like it's they say it's the basement of the hospital, but this looks like an abandoned, like unused wing of. It's like there's like mattresses leaning against the wall. It's dirty. It does, you know, this is not just like, you know, the basement.
This was Full Moon Studios before they had to move into Charles Band's house, right? No, I'm kidding. I'm teasing, but still, I mean, that's kind of the vibe it's giving off, right?
Yeah, so we find out the favor she's calling in is Dr. George Roberts, who is the finest surgeon at the university. He was one of their teachers, but he has sort of been like kicked out of, like, he's not a teacher anymore. He was sort of left in disgrace, and the hospital has kept him on staff, but they keep him like in the basement, and he doesn't really do any like real surgery.
Yeah, apparently this is the animal surgery wing, so the veterinarians, I guess. Which is kind of fitting for the guy, but still.
And and Jack is like, I heard he just went crazy though, and she's like, no, he's not crazy. He just, you know, he was overwhelmed. He kind of had a breakdown, but he's fine now.
Right. Which they're going to leave off some. I like that she does exclude some things. I don't know if Charles had written that into the script yet. What we're going to find out a little bit later, but it's like, okay, fair enough. But yes, go ahead. He's ambidextrous.
So we cut to him writing notes with both hands at the same time, just frantically. He looks like over-caffeinated and just kind of crazy. His office is a mess, and this is Tony Todd.
Right.
And
now, when they knock on his door, he responds in a very soft, like, almost feminine voice. Effeminate?
Yeah, you know, which was strange. Like, Tony Todd, like, his calling card as an actor is his very
voice.
Deep, intense voice, and so it was really strange to hear this come out of his mouth. But then as the movie goes on, there's a reason. We'll see.
But I
like,
thought it was going to be a deeper reason, of course, because I'm trying to think about it. And it would have been way more interesting had it been, but okay.
Yeah. When he answers the door, though, he's like excited to see Jill, and he instantly just kisses her on the mouth.
Right. It's that's a way to say hello.
And she looks a little surprised, but Jack looks a lot surprised by that.
Yeah.
And
he's
right
like,
away
I heard
she's
a lot about
like,
you, Doc.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, Dr. Roberts, this is my boyfriend, Jack. And he goes back into the Tony Todd register, like the deeper voice, and he's like, can we talk out in the hall? And he like drags her outside real quick. And, you know, he's like, oh, so you're just going to parade your new boy toy in my face and keep fucking with my head? Like, he gets real intense. And so, I mean, like, it's clear that there is the Tony Todd voice that is angry and intense. And then there's like this higher register that is gentle and soft.
Right.
And that he kind of like switches back and forth, sort of, and it's sort of like spurred by like what's going on around him, but not entirely. You know, it can just kind of happen.
Right. But of course, she's like, hey, I thought we were past this, George. I thought we were good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I told you this. We were no longer together. We're friends. I thought you knew that when I, reached back out to you.
Right. And he says, of course, dear. Like, they still are kind of together, of course, in his mind still. Yeah.
And we cut away from their conversation back to Jack left alone in his office, and he lifts like a sheet off of like an animal cage, and
Weas-odile puppet.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck this thing's supposed. It's just a really flat stuffed thing that it has
the body of a crocodile.
There is some but it's furry and kind of weaselly looking. Yeah, Weas-odile is dead on. And of course, that's when Jill and George come back in and see him, snooping.
Yeah, but George loses his shit. He calls Jack a fucking moron. And he's like, of course it's alive, you asshole, because Jack's surprised. Hey, this thing's still living.
Yeah. And Jill, meanwhile, is like, "Wow, you're really, your work. It's really advanced. You're doing a lot of interesting stuff.
This will be your calling card." Yeah, maybe.
And he's like, "Oh, so cats, right? Cats is what you're looking for." And she's like, "Yeah." So we pretty much cut to Jack and Jill leaving with a couple animal, little like cat carriers. And as soon as they leave, we finally get to see, we've had George having these two different voices. Now we see George alone having a conversation between the two voices, and he's doing the like turn his head one way and then the other way, and he's like, the two sides are mad at each other. It gets to a point where he's like, "Fuck you, George! No, fuck you!" And like,
he's acting his ass off in this one. Like, there is the gentle George, who doesn't like the profanity of calling Jill a bitch, and then there is the hyper masculine aggressive side that, of course, is using all kinds of bad words for women and or females or feminine people. Female sounds gross. Anyway, so there we go. That's what we have. There are two Georges inside of you.
Yeah, and he, like Tony Todd is chewing the scenery pretty hard, but it works, and like. This is a full moon movie. It's campy. It's supposed to be campy, and like it's like he understood the assignment.
Right.
He's doing it. He's doing it right.
Yeah.
And we cut from the argument between the two Georges to Jack and Jill performing the surgery. And
it works.
Like
two hearts of the cat. Two cats are beating in tandem. So
yep. And she's like, this is a masterpiece. This is a work of art. And then we go back to George, who is now speaking to
cultists?
Three weird, just people in cult robes. Like looks kind of Lovecraftian, and they're all really mad that he let these newcomers into their wing. This is like they're supposed to be their secret safe space where they can do what they want, and they're not happy with George about this.
Right. Well, specifically, the girl we'll learn her name's Kyla, asks George if he was thinking with his little head. And he gets kind of mad about that, like overly mad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's like, "I have faith in Jill's abilities. This is not about our relationship. Mm-hmm. This is about her capabilities. And she's working on a project. We'll just have to see. Like, I'm not saying we're gonna take her in for sure, but like, I think she's good and she's working. So we'll see. Like, see if the thing, if her experiment works and it survives a few days." Then we'll talk. Right,
but now he's got to assign his cronies jobs, right? We've got one guy, we'll find out his name's Martin. He is to get the bodies or specimens. Then we have Harry. What does he tell Harry to do? Just prepare your gas, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
He's the anesthesiologist. I don't even remember what he tells Kyla to do. She's like an immunosuppressant doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, well, like later he'll introduce them and we'll get their like specific specialties. But he does give them all tasks. And then we see Jack and Jill arriving at their apartment. This is like 4 days later. So they're coming home. The cat is, in a cage in the house, and they're like,
it's not in the cage now.
Right, yeah, they're like, it's been 4 days, everything's going great, and then they see that not only is the cat gone and the door is open, and Jill's like, did you close it? And he's like, yeah, I definitely closed it.
Right, we've got to find Slinky. What?
Yeah, they've named the cat Slinky, which is funny. But then they see inside the cage, there's a note. So this was not the cat escaped. Somebody let the cat out.
Out of the bag? No, out of the cage. Sorry.
Yeah. And the note is inviting them to attend a meeting of the Cutters Club in the conference room in the basement of the hospital.
Right. Okay, fair enough. So they go right there, and a person in a robe directs them where to go. Basically, in this meeting room right here.
Yep. And so right away, like, they go in and they see George and, three people in robes.
He comes in with a Dracula cape. Like, just straight up. He's not even bothered with the robe. He's like, I want to go full Dracula.
Yeah. And they're like, I don't know what this is about. We're not trying to join any club, but we want our cat back. Where is Slinky?
Right. And he's like, shut the fuck up, because he's talking to Jack. You're only here because of Jill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's like, okay, I guess introductions are in order. And so, as we said, we have Martin, the specimen collector, Harry, the crown prince of anesthesia, and Kyla, the immunosuppressive goddess.
Right. Interesting title there. I mean, fair enough, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have the flesh swelling, right? I guess. I imagine that's what that's all about.
And so they're like, yes, we've invited you here to consider maybe allowing you to join our small and gifted group of surgeons who feel that the current surgical paradigm does not live up to our creative skills.
Wait, what are you talking about here? I know that surgery is supposed to be for healing or some cosmetics procedures. And he's like, nah. We're doing art. We're an art collective of fucking flesh merchants. What?
Yes.
What the fuck? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and so both Jack and Jill are both kind of looking at each other like, I don't know about this. And then the cultists start arguing like, we don't even want. It's like really George is really pushing all of this.
Right. Well, George
everybody
and
else
Harry.
seems unsure.
George and Harry want them, whereas Kyla and Martin do not.
Yeah. Jill's like, so what is this project you're working on? And they're like, we can't tell you until you've officially joined.
Right. But we will tell you if you just walk away. Sure, you're out of the club, but also we tend to take care of problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get rid of incriminating evidence. Yeah. So Jill convinces Jack to stay, and they are taken into just a sort of like examination room, but there's like a shelf on the wall that moves away, and we have secret door leading to the hidden Cutters Club facilities.
Right, that somehow maintenance doesn't know about.
Right, yeah. And right away, Jack manages to get grabbed by a monkey arm reaching out of a cage.
Is it, or is it like a dog hand puppet? Because I think that thing has a snout and teeth.
Yeah. It's some it's something weird that they're. Yeah.
But anyway, they get mad at Jack for that. They're like, "How dare you disturb this beautiful creature?" And he's like, "I'm just existing over here. What the fuck, guys?"
Yeah. And Kyla's like, "Yeah, we've had a lot of trouble with mammals." And Jill's like, "I don't know what you mean. Slinky's doing great. Everything's going really well with that." And Kyla's like, "A cat is very different than a monkey. There's a lot more going on. You can make your thing continue to eat and shit, but monkeys have a brain that has to think."
Fair.
So yeah, and so again they get into an argument. I think they end up leaving, Jack and Jill. And we have then the cultists continue their argument about if they're suitable. George is like, Jill is definitely good. I'm not so sure about Jack, but I think he might be.
Right. He calls Kyla jealous of Jill because she's talking shit, not realizing that he's literally just as jealous of Jack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then we have just later on, it's nighttime, and Jack and Jill are in bed together, both asleep. The phone rings. Jill answers, and George asks if Jack's with her, and she's like, "Yeah, I mean he's right here." And he's like, "Come back to the hospital, but alone this time."
Yeah, don't bring Jack. And of course, Jack is partially awake, and he hears this. He's like, "What the fuck?"
Yep, but he's pretending to be asleep. He's got his back to her, and we just see that his eyes are open.
Yeah.
So she leaves, and then we see her in the lab where they're showing her that they have human bodies in their lab under sheets on slabs.
Right. But this body that's supposed to be dead is still kind of alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's hooked. George says he's hooked up to an electrical device that doesn't really keep him alive, but it keeps the metabolism, all those kind of things are still going, so that to keep the flesh viable until they want to work.
Right.
It's not rotting.
What is it they say? You're not truly dead till you're warm and dead?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they also tell Jill that they have decided to let her into the club, but that Jack is not suitable. They do not want him in the club.
Yep. Just won't cut it. Haha. But anyway.
And we see that Jack has come with her and is she doesn't know this, but he's followed her. He's peeking around door frames, watching all this happen.
Right. But basically, we're doing the Frankenstein once again, where Martin's gathering the recently dead and destined for Potter's Field. Basically, people who don't really have family and don't have the money to do anything for themselves. So he's gathering those bodies and bringing them down there. So are these ethically sourced bodies? Could you say that? I mean, I guess not because of the whole stealing them from the dead thing, but also they're already dead.
He's still, he's stealing them and putting like sandbags or something,
in
or
their
scrap
coffins.
wood or something. Yeah, just to like have the weight. So like he's definitely taking these from someone who like but yeah, these are bodies that no one is gonna miss seemingly.
Yeah. Until they do,
and
but that's a later thing.
Yeah. So they show Jill what they've been working on, which is a creature that will eventually, it just has the name Two-Head. It is a two-headed thing.
Charles, you did so much work in this fucking script, and you stopped at Two-Head?
And the creature, like, it doesn't look like just a person with two heads. No. It is all rotting looking. It's almost like skeletal, but like with like weird mummified flesh. Like, it's a real weird looking thing, considering that they keep talking about that they're like keeping it alive and keeping the flesh viable, so that
is it though?
It doesn't rot.
Is it?
Yeah, it looks weird. It doesn't. It looks like it would be cool in a different movie. It doesn't quite match the vibe of this movie, I will say.
It falls, well, I would say it falls short because we're about to get a joke about that. But apparently, so what is his reasoning with, like, making the creature small? Is he like, oh, we're going to add parts onto it? But it sounds like that's harder to do.
Yeah, he says it's easier to make something smaller, to take stuff away than to add.
But, yeah, so shouldn't you start with something bigger? Or did they start with something bigger?
Right. Yeah, this thing is like, I don't know, like 4 feet tall or something. But he's really, obviously George is very proud of it. He says it's his masterpiece. Kyla, interjects that it is their masterpiece. Right. They all worked on this together.
The creature gurgles a little bit, and Jill's like, "What the fuck? It's alive?" And not really. That's more of a motor reflex than anything.
Yeah, they're still working on trying to make it fully alive. Mm-hmm. And at that point, they're interrupted. There's an alarm. George panics. Yeah, something's going on. He sends Martin out to see what's going on. Mm-hmm. So Martin runs out.
I guess Jill leaves
and
too.
Then we just cut to like the next morning, or like either like very very late night or early morning. Jill's arriving home.
Yeah,
and she finds Jack sitting in the kitchen eating cereal, and
she's like, "Oh, you're up early."
Yeah, he's like, well, I woke up and you were gone. And she's like, oh, yeah, I couldn't sleep. I just took a walk, but I brought muffins. And he's like, where were you really?
Right.
And she's like, I told you. I couldn't sleep. I took a walk.
Okay.
And he's, all right, yeah, okay. He's like, oh, don't forget, there's a demonstration that we're supposed to go to for class later today. Right. And she's like, oh no, I've got plans. I've got something else I got to do.
Right. Can you make it? He's like, or can you tape it for me?
Yeah, and he says he will. So we then see a little later, Jill is back at the lab, working on the creature again.
Fucking Tony Todd has that painter's mask on. I love it so much. Like, I literally have that exact fucking model, like, just in my basement.
And yeah, of course, Jack is again spying on her. So I don't know. He's clearly not going to tape the thing because he's where she is.
Or maybe he already has, and that's how long this took.
Yeah, could be. I don't know.
Right.
So the creature moves a little bit more, and George is like, it's still not really alive, though, and he's really mad.
Right. But of course, Kyla and Jill are like, hey, they're almost congratulating each other and George. But then once Jill acknowledges George and George acknowledges Jill, Kyla's like, nope, fuck you. She just snarls at her.
So then we just have like Jill getting home really late again. Jack is awake, but pretending like he's asleep. Mm-hmm. And then it's like the next day, we're back in the lab. George is mad. He's like testing something. He's like, the brain stems are all wrong. We need to refresh the brain stems. I don't know how to find new ones. He like confronts Jill and he's like, I've seen you watching me.
Right.
I know you still have feelings for me. And she's like, no, I just respect your work as a surgeon. Like,
right. I ended it 2 years ago and I meant it.
Yeah. And so she like
goes to leave. But
yeah, well, and no, he kisses her and like kind of forcefully kisses her, and Jack sees it. Yeah. It goes on for a couple seconds, and then like Jack gets mad, and he kind of like, of course they don't know he's there, but he leaves, and then as soon as he's out of hearing, that's when Jill pushes George away and tells him that she's not into this.
I'm gonna be real though, she was into it for a second,
Yeah, she definitely let it happen, but then she's like, no, we can't. I love Jack. Yeah. Jack's my partner now.
Well, Jack saw that, and he doesn't like cheating, so neither do we.
Yeah. Yeah, so
unless you're into that kind of
so
thing.
soon
Anyway.
We have George having another like dual personality argument where like one side is like she's still into us and she's lying to herself and all this, and the other one's like, we need to respect her feelings.
Yeah, it's so wild. I mean, that's well, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, we have to acknowledge she has feelings. They're valid. Is basically what he's saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So George goes back into the lab and finds Martin there, and he's crying, and he says they're absolutely fucked. Everything is fucked. And he's like, I can't protect. You all have to protect me, because if you can't protect me, I can't promise that I can protect you.
Right. George pimp slaps him.
What are you?
He just whap.
Yep. Calm down. What are you saying? And he's like, one of the coffins broke open when they were trying to bury it at the Potter's Field. Sandbags fell out. The police came and questioned me.
Right.
I told them I didn't know anything, but they're gonna come back. I know they're gonna keep digging into this.
I'm just gonna tell them. And George's like,
yeah,
can't have that.
Yep. So does he start choking Martin right here? Mm-hmm. And then we quickly cut away. We have Jill getting home and finding Jack's stuff is gone.
Well, to be fair, to move back a little bit, it seems almost like he's going to like dip Martin over and kiss him. But yeah, choke.
Okay. Yeah. So Jill,
all the stuff
she sees it and she's like, shit. And then the phone rings. As the phone rings, she's like still looking at the stuff. She lets it go to the voicemail. This was shot in 2005, and she still has a landline and a tape-recorded voice machine. Seems still unlikely.
Yeah, it was still old for the time that you would have that, but still reasonable.
Yeah, and of course their voicemail is, you've reached Jack and Jill. We've gone up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Yeah. And it is George leaving a message saying that, they need her back right away. There's an emergency.
Oh, no.
From there, we do cut back to the lab where we see Martin is laying on a slab now with his throat slit. And George tells the rest of the club that Martin did this to himself.
He was afraid of squealing on them.
Yeah. The cops are, starting to investigate, and he wasn't sure he could keep it to himself.
Has this lie ever worked for anybody in cinema? Like, would it?
Yeah.
Like, no, nobody would do that ever.
Yeah, it's absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
And like
Harry's like, Harry knows it's bullshit. He's like, all right, buddy, whatever.
And he's also says Martin left a note that his last wishes are that he wants to be a part of our experiment so he can live on forever.
He wants to dedicate his brain, and Harry's like, yeah, that sounds absolutely like Martin would have written that, and it's not complete bullshit.
Yeah, and George, the intimidating George, just snaps at him, and Harry's like, all right, fine, let's do it. Right. We better get to work before Martin spoils.
But, so what are we going to do to Martin? We're going to take his brain, and we're going to split it into the two heads of Two Head.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
As he puts a medallion on Jill's neck from Martin.
So we cut to, afterwards, everybody's feeling good. They think this is going to work. We're just going to have to wait and see.
George is kind of, on both of the girls. He's like, hey, maybe there could be three of us later. And we could do something.
Yeah. And, so he steps out, and then Kyla confronts Jill finally and is like, I think you know what you're doing, and I see it. You're manipulating him. Yeah. And Jill's like, I am not interested in him. I've been very clear with him that I'm not. I just believe in the work you all are doing, and I want to be a part of it.
No. You being here is fucking with his head, because he's still, trapped 2 years ago.
Yeah, he had a breakdown. His mental breakdown was because of you.
Right.
That's what got him fired. That's what sent him down to this basement. And he's starting to break down again, and it's all your fault.
Right. So basically, one half of his brain is the shy nerd. The other one is the arrogant fuckboy doctor, I guess.
Yeah. This is how he somehow is dealing with what happened with Jill.
Okay.
And then we see that the creature Two Head wakes up.
All the dogs are terrified.
There's a bunch of animal specimens in cages, and they're all freaking out. And nobody else is in there. It's just the creature and the animals. Then back at home, Jill gets another call from George saying that an alarm went off at the lab and they need to hurry back.
I feel like she just can't get away from this guy.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is, it's a full moon movie, which means it's an hour and 10 minutes long. And so much of it is just Jill leaving and then getting called right back. It feels a little like they're padding it a bit. But Yeah, so they all arrive back at the lab and find that it's all wrecked. Everything's knocked over and everything, and the creature is gone.
Or is it? Or is it in the lab? Harry grabs a pistol. And he's like, I'm going to shoot this thing.
Yeah, George is like, it's like the soft George suddenly starts panicking. He's like, what if the creature with Martin's brain, what if he goes to the police? Or what if he comes back for revenge?
What are we going to do? How am I going to, my massive ass Tony Todd body going to stop this 4 foot whatever creature?
Oh yeah, Kyla has to slap him to snap him out of it. And then he turns into aggressive George, who takes the gun away from Harry.
He literally says, "Thanks, baby." What the fuck?
Yeah. So yeah, he takes the gun from Harry and he's like, "I'm gonna find that thing."
Yeah. You all clean this fucking thing up. Or clean these bodies.
Yeah. And we hear there's like sounds around and everybody's kind of like looking around. Is it in the ceiling? What's going on? And then a gas canister falls out of the ceiling with a skull and crossbones on the side of it.
It's a cyanide canister. So, okay.
Yeah, and it starts it's spraying gas into the room.
Everyone goes to leave, but why does Harry feel the need to throw himself on top of a canister of gas?
Yeah, like, this is not a grenade. Just run away from it.
Yeah.
So everybody else locks themselves in, like, an airtight morgue, like, it looks like a walk-in fridge kind of thing.
While George turns on the fan, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Harry just lays there and dies next to the canister while everybody else is safe.
But also, why would they do that if they know a creature was in there? Like, what? They turned on the fan. Why wouldn't you just leave that shit open for, like, a couple hours to make sure the thing was dead?
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
So they come out a little later, the gas has dissipated, and again, Jill goes back home, she checks on the cat, she tries to call Jack, he does not answer, she leaves him a voicemail.
Right. She just wants to talk to anybody. Anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think she's like, I just need to talk to somebody who's not part of the club. Like, I need to say what's going on. Like, I just need to process it.
Right.
And then we just cut to her a little later, taking a bath, trying to calm down, relax.
That's when she hears something in the house.
Mm-hmm. So, with a surprising amount of restraint for full moon, we just cut, like, she's in a bubble bath underwater, right. And we just cut to her in pajamas with a baseball bat searching the house. Like, we somehow completely dodge a bunch of easily gratuitous nudity here.
I feel that was
Melissa, for Charles Band.
I feel like Melissa Steering was like, I'm not doing this for a full moon production. You'll get me in my, like, tank top or whatever it is, and that's about it, buddy.
Yeah. So, of course, when she comes out, she finds again that the cage is open, Slinky is gone, and before she can do anything about that, she is attacked by Two Head.
Oh no! Who saw that coming? But yeah, so this goofy ass puppet, like, chases her into her room, and, like, she grabs a bat to try and fight it, but, like, she gets on the bed, drops the bat somehow, calls Jack while this thing's in the room with her, grabbing onto her leg.
Yeah.
Like, she has a full conversation with him, like, hey, get here, I need help. And then she grabs the bat and beats the thing to death with it.
Yeah, she did not need help that bad. She was fine.
What? We just need to get Jack here, I guess.
Yeah, and so Jack does arrive and finds Jill kind of still pretty shaken up, covered in blood, and she's begging him for forgiveness.
Yeah, did we mention that the Two Head killed the cat creature? Or Slinky?
Yeah. So we have Slinky laying there dead as well, and she shows Jack Slinky's dead. She also shows him Two Head, that is now in her fridge.
We fridged the monster. That's pretty fucking good. I got to say that. I don't think like people saying this was fridged was a thing at the time, but maybe it was.
Yeah. I think that's a
more modern,
slightly more new term.
Yeah.
So we didn't say the first thing that Two Head did when he attacked Jill was he did the pet cemetery ankle slice.
Yeah.
But we know Jack, his specialty is he's a stitch man. So he's able to stitch up her ankle for her. Then we have, like, them in bed together, just like laying there. Or Jack's laying, he's trying to fall asleep. She's sitting up. She's still kind of anxious and everything.
Right. He's like, hey, go to sleep. Like,
yeah, you need your rest after all this. And she's like, I think I should go to the cops, right? I should turn myself in.
He's like, hell no.
I can't.
You didn't do anything wrong.
And she's like, I can't live with what I've done. And he's like, George killed people. You didn't. You were working on a science experiment.
Right. But she was like, I was a accessory to this. I knew what he was doing.
And he's like, well, maybe we go to the cops and you work with them. Maybe you can tell them what happened and be a witness and you'll be okay. So then we cut to later at the lab. Jack and Jill are there.
This plan was this was an underwear gnomes type plan. It's like record blank capture George.
Profit.
Right. Yeah. What the fuck? Like, I feel like there's a critical middle step that you guys have missed there. You probably should have contacted the cops first. What the fuck? But we wouldn't have the ending that we get off of this.
Right, yeah. So George walks in, and George is not happy to see Jack. He's like, he didn't tell me he was going to be here. And she's like, I needed his help to get Two-Head here. I couldn't carry him on my own. And so then she's, like you said, it's just, she's like, so let's talk about Martin.
Right.
Tell me about what happened with Martin. It's basically like talking to the flower, like it's so obvious.
It was like, Martin's brain wasn't the right candidate. He was instinctive, animalistic, or no, that's a little bit later. I apologize for that. I'm skipping way ahead.
Here he's just like, I'm so sorry, and he goes to give her a hug and immediately pulls a tape recorder out of her back pocket.
Guys, why is there better than that? Don't do that.
Yeah. And so, of course, the angry George takes over. He pulls out a gun. He immediately just shoots Jack, like no hesitation, no threatening. Just
But then he pistol whips Jill.
Yep. And so then we have Jill waking up a little later, strapped down to a slab with like her head like taped down.
Right, the calm part's like, calm down. I don't want your blood pressure to skyrocket.
Yeah. And then we see that Two-Head is strapped next to her, and it is still alive. And that's when George reveals his special expertise, which is cryonics. So this is where he, as you were mentioning earlier, he says Martin's brain wasn't the right candidate. He was already dying when we took the brain. Plus, he was too instinctual, too animalistic. We need to take a brain right out of a living candidate straight into Two-Head.
Something more logical. And it's got to. That's where your brain comes in.
Yeah. And Jill right away, she tries to use anything she's got at her disposal. She's like, but George, what about us? Remember what we meant to each other.
Oh, honey, you've reminded me many times we don't mean anything to each other.
Yeah. And he's like, don't think of this as dying. Think of this as being born again, as my masterpiece.
The ultimate triumph of the Cutters Club.
Yep.
We'll split that together. We'll splice that together. It'll sound good, I promise.
And then like he puts like the gas mask over her face, and he takes in a deep breath and go to credits. So like this.
Yeah, we get pictures of Martin, Jill, and also apparently at some point Jill and Kylo were friends because we get pictures of them like hugging each other too.
Yeah. I don't know, that's the credits. Yeah, we get these like this, fun photo montage, which is not what you usually get for a movie that ends with this kind of like, bad ending for our protagonist.
Listen, Charles Band had recently, or no, he didn't even recently. He probably recently played Resident Evil 2, or his kids did, and he was like, "Hey, that's cool to have those photos from Raccoon City Police Department. So let's do that because that's what they look like." If you,
yeah.
So yeah.
So
it's not great.
This is like, it's like it. A lot of, I feel like this is often Full Moon's problem. There's so many movies you watch and you're like, man, that movie was 2 hours. It could have been cut down to an hour and a half, and it would have been tighter and better. Yeah. Full Moon, it's always like they're short, and it's like, man, if they had just really like punched it up a little bit, added a little bit more in the right spots, like beefed it up, it would have like felt more cohesive and felt like it was going somewhere.
Yeah. Or honestly, this would have made a great like Tales from the Crypt or Creep Show episode.
Yeah, it is. It's just slight. It's just not. Like it very well. It has a very Tales from the Crypt kind of vibe to it. and especially in that like the sort of main characters all kind of end up with bad endings. Yeah. We end up with like George, who he's sort of like this, sort of villainous character who's clearly mentally unwell, and he ends up the sort of like winner. He's like victorious here at the end. And I'm totally okay with this sort of like abrupt ending of like, something bad's gonna happen. Clearly Jill's not gonna make it out of this, and who knows what happens with Two Head after this. Right. I don't think any part of them was building this as a sequel. They just kind of wanted like a shocker ending and just go out like that and just leave it.
Evil Bong and Killjoy, this is not, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I have my theories as why this was not allowed to get out until Tony Todd passed away. Do we kind of want to go into that, I guess?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
All right, almost certainly it's the voice. Like him having the slightly effeminate voice, there is no way, like either his manager or someone else was like, you can't let this see light. Like, this will ruin you, right?
Yeah, Tony Todd, like, he's done a lot of genre stuff, good, bad, whatever, but like he definitely has a specific sort of persona. Mm-hmm. When you have Tony Todd, you kind of know what you're going to get.
Right. Now, later in life, he kind of went against that, of course, but at this point, I guess he didn't, so.
Yeah, and it definitely felt like, I don't know, I think that's kind of what makes this interesting, really, is like having the intimidating, gruff-voiced, normal Tony Todd character contrasted with this other one. I thought it was kind of fun. Like, it's definitely one of the things that makes this movie worth seeing, as far as I'm concerned. Like, the very different work from Tony Todd that you've not seen before. But I also definitely could see where he would be like, I'm not sure if this is, fits with what I want to portray. Right. Like, I could definitely see him being the, at least partially responsible for this not seeing the light of day.
I think I'm still blaming the manager. I'm not blaming Tony for this. Because, like, I feel like Tony was game for it. He was like, I want to do something different.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely, he did it. He did it, and it seemed, like, my understanding, everything I've seen about him, he seemed really just, like, cool and game and down for stuff.
Well, hell, he was in just about everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, and, like, we know he, like, had this, I believe it was cancer, right? It was pretty aggressive towards the end, and, like, just like, I guess this weekend or last weekend, the new Final Destination came out, which is, I think, the last movie he actually acted in. Yeah. And I haven't gotten to see it yet, but I've seen some pictures of him in it, and you can tell he is not in good health. But still, like, he just wants to act. Like, that's what he does. Like, he is down. Like, you can see, I mean, he's very, like, he's lost a lot of weight. Yeah. He does not look in good health. He's very skinny. Does not look like the imposing Tony Todd we're used to.
Yeah, not to say Tony Todd was ever, like, a chunky boy, but he was definitely physically built. As much as we saw.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, like, it's clear that, like, he just wanted to act. Yeah. Like, he was going to do it until he died, and he did. So, yeah, I could definitely see management or people kind of, like, in charge of his, his persona or whatever being a little concerned.
Yeah.
But
honestly, I feel like if this had hit, it probably would be fondly remembered.
Yeah, I think so. And, like, I don't know, Full Moon has kind of, like, I think that they have fallen to a place where, like, they're just kind of serving their, like, diehards at this point. Like, people, you don't have people casually checking out a Full Moon movie anymore, I don't think. I mean, like, it used to be, like, they had movies that went into the theaters or, like, or at least to the video store. Right. But now, like, you mostly have to be subscribed to Full Moon's streaming service or buy their DVDs directly from them if you want to keep up with what they're doing.
Basically, the only way they get new fans is through their older movies. None of their new stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, like, their new stuff, it's all these kind of short films that look like they were shot, over a weekend.
With some friends.
That, like, so it does feel like this movie's not going to get appraised by, like, the amount of eyes that it might have gotten if it came out 20 years ago when they filmed it.
Exactly.
And And like the stuff from Charles Band, it was like he said, it was never finished, it was shelved, and we just finished it. And like, to me, usually when you hear that, that means like there's a bunch of digital effects that we hadn't done and we finally did them. This movie's all practical as far as I can tell. I don't know what they finished unless they just hadn't edited it together.
There was digital effects. There was only one that I noticed. That was the cyanide gas. That's it. Because they're really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So. And they may have done like the credits or something. That's something that they usually do.
But yeah, this could have easily come out 20 years ago. And I think it probably did. Like, they already had it done and wrapped up. And just some powers said, no, this doesn't get to go out.
Yeah. And it's not great, but it's interesting. It's a fun curiosity. I mean, it's better than most of the newer things that Full Moon's putting out. Like, mostly, I feel like the last couple of things I've seen from them have just been like those giant women movies, which are like, fun and silly, but are certainly not even remotely close to this in terms of quality.
Right.
But
Charles Band has a fetish, is what we're saying.
Absolutely, he does. Yeah. But yeah, this one, and they kindly, a lot of their stuff is paywalled now on like the Full Moon streaming service.
Which, why?
But they put this on Tubi.
Why? I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, like we were saying, like they have their diehards. They're preaching to the choir as far as what they're doing anymore. So maybe it's the best way for them to make money is just having a subscription service.
That makes sense, I guess.
But with this one, I guess because they realize maybe they want to get more attention on Full Moon in general, and they knew this might be a chance with people talking about Tony Todd, or maybe they wanted to do a service and let people see this since people are revisiting Tony Todd's work at the moment. Whatever, good reason, selfish reason, a combination of the two. Yeah. It is on Tubi, so it's easy to find for free. You can check it out, with ads and all that. Yeah. But like, it's there where you can check it out. So it's definitely worth your time. And because it's like an hour and 10 minutes, it's it's a breezy, quick movie.
Yeah, if you have time to watch an episode of Tales from the Crypt or Creepshow, you have enough time to watch this.
Absolutely, yeah. So I definitely would recommend this. Like, it's not going to blow you away, but it's fun. It's different, and it's nice to see Tony Todd trying something sort of outside of the box and really leaning into this kind of campy, weird performance. Right.
So, all right. Also, I do want to talk about a couple more things, like because this movie has a lot of potential, right? I really thought they were going to go the angle of like the feminine voice was like, and they alluded to this several times. I thought the feminine voice was going to actually be like his wife, that he somehow like put into his own brain or took half of her brain.
Yeah.
Like that would have been pretty cool, right?
Yeah, because I mean, it is strange that like so much of this movie is about dual personalities. Right. Like we have his split personality, we have the two head, we even have like Jack and Jill, these names that are often like associated with like each other all the time. Like there's very much. Like it keeps leading you to this idea of duality, and it seemed weird that like the duality of the two Georges never is incorporated anywhere else. Right. Like that,
it's just a couple argument scenes and that's it.
Yeah, or I mean, it even would like if it's not that he's implanted another brain, it also seems like maybe they could like. If George had been killed and his brain split between two heads, that could have been really interesting. Like suddenly now we have the aggressive head and the calm. Like head.
If they fight.
Yeah, there could have been. Yeah, there could have been some really fun stuff with that.
Right. Well, even Kyla mentions that during one of their conversations, she says something about they took some DNA and implanted it into the creature's brain. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Boom. We already have that seated. Yeah, let's pay it off.
Yeah, no, yeah, it does that. I think that's the biggest complaint I have with this, and with a lot of Full Moon stuff, is that it often comes off as like, it's like a little half baked. They just like they have an idea, and then they're shooting it like the next day. Yeah. They don't like let's think about this. Let's edit the script a couple times. Let's ask a few people what they think.
Right. Let's finish the script and then shoot instead of I've written 3 pages. Let's go. Yeah. That's 3 scenes. It's fine. So, that's a great start. That's one day.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it feels like it's a shame. Like because this does have a lot of potential. It's interesting, and And, also it could have been that if they had done a little bit better with the script, that maybe whoever decided to kind of hold it back, they might have been a little bit more charitable towards it if it felt a little more fully formed.
Yeah, very much so. And I feel like it was put onto Tubi just so that Charles Band couldn't actually make money, so he couldn't get sued by the estate of Tony Todd. Who knows?
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
It's all speculation. Allegedly is what we're saying in front of everything. Allegedly. No.
Yeah, and this just came out like a week ago, or just kind of dropped to streaming services like a week ago. So who knows what's going to happen from here? We could find out more about it, or it could just kind of, just sort of get forgotten about.
Right.
I really don't know. But maybe we will learn a little bit more about how it ended up this way, and how why it was held back and why it's available now and all that.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned if we do find that information out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be keeping an eye on this one because it was interesting. I'm curious about how it got here.
Absolutely. All right. Well, anything else we have to say about it, Anthony?
I think that's it for this one.
So, Anthony, we're talking about relationships that have gone wrong. Let's see when they go kind of right, at least horny. Okay? With Mistress Frankenstein.
Yeah. So, it's been a little bit since we've done one of our sort of weird, soft-core kind of porn films. So we're going to go back to that, next week with Mistress Frankenstein.
Yep.
This one's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah. If you told me the trauma made it, I would probably believe you, but I don't think it's not that gory, but still. It's pretty silly.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Join us for that next week.
Anthony, where can they find us?
Yeah, so you can find us on all the socials at The Frankencast. You can email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. We're also over on YouTube. And, of course, you can always find us at patreon.com/thefrankencast, where we've got all kinds of new stuff. We're always trying new things over there. Where I've got, let's see, we've finished up the Creature Commandos. I've been doing this sort of audiobook series of these books from my childhood. We're doing all kinds of fun stuff, and we're still midway through the Munsters, and it's getting really good over there. So there's just whatever you're interested in, we got something cool over there for you.
Absolutely.
For sure.
All right, then one more time. To be continued.
Looks like you've survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman and Eric Velasquez. Follow us on Twitter at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek.